Well, hi, folks. I'm Chris Dorr. I'm the director here for the North Carolina Firearms Coalition. And in this video, I'm going to talk about Democrat Don Davis, who is running for re-election in North Carolina Congressional District 1. This is one of the most important congressional races in the entire country because whichever party wins this race, that party very well may likely control the United States House of Representatives and thus control the entire gun debate for the next 2 years. So I want to take a look at Don Davis here because he's the incumbent and he's running for re-election, and we know quite a bit about him. So we're not going to address Lori Buckholt in this one. We're just going to address Don Davis so you guys can make a better decision about who you want representing you in Congress. Let's take a look at it. They say that you can tell a lot about a person by who their friends are. That is absolutely the case with Don Davis and the organizations that are funding and endorsing his campaign. Let me switch over to my red marker here. Right out of the gate, if you'll draw your attention to the bottom of the whiteboard, he is endorsed by Michael Bloomberg and he is endorsed by the Brady campaign. Michael Bloomberg is the godfather of gun control in America. He is financing the gun control movement. The Brady campaign, on the other side, is one of the oldest gun control organizations that's been around and initially got behind the assault weapons ban back in the 1990s. This is a great big red X, and so is that one that goes right on to Don Davis's record. Let's look at some of the policy. Again, this is who we're talking about, Don Davis, the incumbent Democrat in this race, Congressional District 1. It's one of the most competitive in the whole country, and there's a lot on the line here. Don Davis supports universal gun registration. Universal gun registration is Nancy Pelosi, Dianne Feinstein, Dianne Feinstein's no longer with us, Chuck Schumer, Joe Biden. These people are all pushing universal gun registration. What it does is it allows the government to have the ability to track, trace, and register gun owners like sex offenders. And the law does not even apply to criminals or thieves or rapists or murderers. It doesn't apply to them because they never stand in line like good little citizens and register their guns or their knives or whatever tools they use to commit their violent crime. So if it only applies to we, the people, the law-abiding among us, why does Don Davis want to pass it? Well, it's simple. Turn on your television, and Don Davis's party, Joe Biden, is talking about ban assault weapons all the time. Kamala Harris talks about passing mandatory gun buyback laws. Back in the day when Democrats used to hold primaries in order to determine who the presidential nominee was going to be, people like Beto O'Rourke stood there on the national debate stage and said, hell yes, we're going to take your guns. So we're talking about gun confiscation, but the problem is they can't confiscate guns unless they know who owns which ones. That's what universal gun registration is all about. That's why Don Davis supports it, and he gets another big red X for that. He supports a national red flag gun confiscation law. This is awful. It's the destruction of due process rights for gun owners. And what it does is allows people to petition a judge to have your guns taken away without you ever being charged, tried, or convicted of a crime. And it's absolutely bad stuff. In states that have passed this, it's totally being weaponized against people in child custody court and in divorce court. The radical left wants to pass this because it allows them to disarm their political opposition without even going through trials or having to build up cases. It's a big fat red X again, right on Don Davis's record here. He supports mandatory gun lockup laws. Kamala Harris herself, his boss, said that she wants to pass these things so that government can come in and invade the sanctity of your home. That's her words, not mine. And do government gun inspections. Meanwhile, Don Davis never criticized at all his party or Joe Biden for leaving billions of dollars worth of real weapons of war on the streets of Afghanistan. You want to talk about safe storage? Look at your own party, Don. But he won't, because that's them, and they never turn their focus inward. He gets another red X for that. He supports banning AR-15s, the assault weapons ban. Here's the deal. AR-15s are America's rifle, and they are excellent tools for people to own to tell tyrants no. Our founding fathers were brilliant historians. They looked back in history and saw that governments can become tyrannical and turn on their own people. They looked into the future and thought, you know what? You know what? Our government, it could happen here too. So they codified the Second Amendment in the Bill of Rights so that we, the people, could always possess the tools we needed to make sure that tyranny never got rooted here in America. That's what the Second Amendment is all about. It's not about hunting deer. Don Davis knows it. That's why he wants to pass the assault weapons ban. By the way, it outlaws pretty much every single semi-automatic firearm you can think of. We're talking Ruger 1022s, Marlin Model 60s, Remington 1187 shotguns. They want to go all the way down the line. And the reason why is simple, because individual firearms in the hand of free individuals is an excellent insurance program against federal tyranny. He also supports mandatory gun buybacks. Again, Kamala Harris is talking about this all the time. And I've seen some of the dollar amounts that they want to give you. They want to be able to, they want to use that gun registration thing to be able to show up at your door and do mandatory gun buybacks. They want to be able to look at the data and say, okay, this guy owns 4 rifles and 2 pistols. They want to give you like $200 per rifle and $100 per pistol, and knock on your door and say, hey, we see that you own these firearms. This is a mandatory gun buyback. Please go get them, and here's a check. By the way, that check that they will give you, it's your own tax dollars that they've stolen from you in the first place. So this is Don Davis. This is what he stands for. This is the agenda that he's promoting, and that's why we're giving him right now a great big fat F rating as a congressman and for the agenda that he supports. So I wanted you guys to keep this in mind when you go out there to cast your ballots. Don Davis has a dedicated record of attacking your gun rights, and we think that gun owners should know it. Last but not least, please share this video with everybody you know in Congressional One. Round up all of your pro-gun friends, family, loved ones, co-workers, neighbors, and on November 5th, head down to your local polls and vote pro-gun.